G'day guys, Shannon from Auburn Aquariums here. So this video is not going to be about fish. This is just going to be about my cockatiel. His name's Charlie. And I'm just going to be doing a quick video for basically anyone who wants to have their first bird and they're not sure what one to go with. I'd highly recommend a cockatiel as your first bird. So yeah, they're just very easy to care for, and if it's your first bird, they're good because they don't get too big. Cockatiels live between 20 and 25 years, so you'll have it for quite a while. So that's one thing you do have to keep in mind when buying a parrot. I mean, most bigger parrots live a lot longer than that. Even cockatiels are only a small parrot. But yeah, they live about 25 years, so it's quite an investment. So you want to make sure that you do have, you're able to keep something for that long. Because cockatiels, being a social animal, in the wild, they live in quite large flocks. They don't like being on their own. They like attention. So if you're going to have one cockatiel and it's going to be on its own, you've got to keep in mind that they like attention. They like being played with. They like coming out of their cage and being with you a lot. So you do have to keep that in mind. Like this guy here, he hates being alone. His cage door is permanently open. He's always out. He sits on his cage. He doesn't really leave his cage, but the door's always open. So yeah, if I close the door, he'll just carry on screaming. If I leave the room, he'll carry on screaming. They'll take him everywhere with me. So they do like to be with you quite a lot. Other than that, their care is quite easy. I mean, get a decent size cage for a cockatiel. I mean, it doesn't have to be the biggest cage in the world, but I mean, at minimum, the legal minimum size for parrots in cages is 3 wing beats. What that means is a parrot has to be able to fly from one end of the cage to the other, and at the minimum flap its wings 3 times to get from one side. That's the minimum length and width of a cage for a bird. 3 wing flaps or 3 wing beats to fly from one end to the other is the minimum size. But I mean, look, with birds, if you can afford this, if you can afford the next size cage, get the next size cage, because they do need the space. And if you can get your bird tame, that's a bonus. Then you can let him out and he can fly around, which benefits the bird quite a lot. And he's carrying on right now because he doesn't like the camera. Normally he's quite chill on his own, but because I'm talking to a camera, he doesn't understand what's going on. So he's acting up at the moment. Yeah, they do have quite a good personality, cockatiels, even for a small parrot. Like, usually you get more personality in the bigger parrots, but even cockatiels I've found, their personality is pretty good, even for a small bird. So, basic care for these guys. Once you've got the right size cage, got to think perches. Now, you can buy like the wooden dowel stick style perches, but I don't recommend those. They're far too thin for a cockatiel. Basically, you want to, any bird you've got, any parrot you have, that's the perch. You want their foot to go on it like that, and their claws to not meet. If they can do that and touch their front and back toes together around the perch, that perch is too small for them. You want to have a bit of a gap between their feet like that. So a thicker perch. Natural branches, I reckon, are the way to go. If you go down to your local park and get some gum tree branches, some native trees, make sure they're native trees, because you don't want to get some random tree, you're not sure what it is, it could be toxic. Gum trees are quite good. You just get some gum tree branches and use those. Parrots love the natural branches. It's something for them to chew on. Also, the rough texture of natural branches helps keep their claws in check. You don't want their claws overgrowing, where the dowel sticks don't really file their claws down at all, so their claws just keep growing and they get problems with their feet eventually. Other than that, calcium is the next thing that's important for parrots. Calcium for their beak. So a calcium block is recommended, or a cuttlefish bone. You just put it in the cage, tie it onto the bars somewhere. They'll go and chew on it when they need it. So they chew on that and it just gives calcium to their beak. It also helps stop their beak from overgrowing. Same as toys. You want to give them things to chew on. Parrots do like to chew on things. They do like to destroy things. It's just part of their nature. They dig. They dig holes in tree trunks, because parrots naturally nest in tree hollows. Sometimes they'll be already there, sometimes they'll dig them themselves. So they've got quite strong beaks and they can chew through wood quite easily. So bear that in mind when you take your parrot out, don't leave it unsupervised. It will put holes in things. This one here has chewed through so many cables. My laptop cable's got holes in it. He's chewed buttons off the TV remote. He's chewed chunks out of wooden furniture off the corners and stuff. He'll destroy anything. So he loves paper. He loves shredding paper. Most parrots do, I've found them. So, I mean, you can give him things to destroy that's not going to hurt them. Like give him bits of paper when he's out. He plays with those. I give him old envelopes and stuff, cardboard, whatever. You buy them toys, they're going to destroy them. Don't get frustrated. That's what they're meant for. Parrot toys aren't meant to be long term. They chew on them for a while, a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and then they destroy them. That's the whole purpose of them, because it's to keep their beak in check. You get them like wooden toys so they can actually physically break them and destroy them. That helps keep their beak from overgrowing. If a parrot's beak overgrows, it's usually the top bill that's the one that overgrows. Sometimes it's the bottom, but it's usually the top one. It'll overgrow and end up poking them, you know, around their neck area, and they can't open their beak enough to eat properly as well. And then you have to take them to the vet to get it cut, and that's kind of stress on the bird too. So giving them things to chew on helps prevent that. Other than that is food. Cockatiels are easily fed parrots. They're not overly picky feeders. I know certain parrots, like for example your Echolactus parrots, very fussy feeders. And lorikeets, they're more of a nectar feeding parrot, so you got to have all these different nectar based bird foods for them. Cockatiels are simple, just seed. Small parrot mix is the way to go. In this there's a mixture of various different small seeds with sunflower seeds. That's all he really eats. Occasionally you can give them some fruit and vegetables if you want. I mean, it depends on the parrot you have, but cockatiels specifically, you don't want to give them much fruit and vegetable. That's not normally what they get naturally. Their body can't handle too much of that. I've found too much fruit, they actually get the runs as well. So mostly seed diet. Cockatiels, they're native to Central Australia, so it's a very dry desert outback sort of area. They're not going to come across fruit any day soon out there. It's mostly seeds they're eating, and that's it. So they're quite happy on that diet, but you can give them something as a treat every now and again. So I usually change his seed every couple of days. You can tell when the seed needs changing. Parrots don't eat the whole seed. It's like a sunflower seed or any seed. They don't. It's a shell with a seed inside it. Parrots will use their beak to open the shell, eat the seed, and they'll spit the husk just either back in the bowl or on the bottom of the cage. You can tell when it needs changing because the whole top layer will just be husks. You can blow it off and there'll be all actual seeds still underneath. If it's all husks or mostly husks, then yeah, change it. Other than that is his water. Just change his water every day or twice a day, depending how messy your bird is with his water. I change mine every day because he's not too messy with it. And just give the bowl a good scrub out every now and again because it does get a bit slimy having water sitting in it. So yeah, other than that, on the bottom of the cage you just have a sheet of newspaper, or if you like shell grit, you can use shell grit. Newspaper I find is easier to clean. The benefit to shell grit though is it is a calcium based substrate. They do chew on the shell grit sometimes, and that is just extra calcium for their beak and just for their body in general because they do ingest some of it. So yeah, other than that, the only other thing these guys need is attention. Yeah, come here. Been hiding back there this whole time, but you want some seed? Yeah. So yes, cockatiels are quite a nice parrot to start with. If you're new to birds and you want a first parrot, it's not too difficult. They're quite good. They can talk and mimic sounds and whistles. This one here can talk and do all that. It's probably not going to do it because the camera's on. No. There he goes. He likes to have a competition of who can go the longest without stopping. So yeah, they can be quite fun when you tame them and you get them talking and whistling. The only problem after that is shutting them up. So yeah, they're quite a good pet, and yeah, 20 to 25 years. So you have them for quite a long time if you get them from a little hatchling. You don't want to get them too young. When they're really young and they don't have any feathers yet, they can't eat seed. They're strictly eating formula. They have to be fed 4 times, 5 times a day with the formula, with a syringe. I mean, if you're happy and you have the time to do that, you're happy to do all that, go for it. Get a little hatchling, hand rear him yourself, feed him the formula 5 times a day. But if you go to work every day and you've got a busy lifestyle and you don't have time for that, get one that's a little bit older, that's still, maybe 6+ months old, still quite young, still quite tame, easy to tame down and train to how you want it to be. But it'll be eating seeds, so yeah, much easier for you guys. And what are you doing? And now he's gone down my back. Come on. Come here. So this one also, I found with most captive parrots, they can't fly for very long because they're not in the wild flying around all the time. Their wing muscles don't get used a lot. He can fly, but I mean he can do maybe maximum 3 laps of this place, and then he has to land, or if he tries to go a bit longer, he'll crash somewhere. He'll just crash land because he'll just burn out. And he wants to get back into his cage right now, don't you? Go. Yeah. See, he can fly. So yeah, that's basically just the basic care for cockatiels. Other than that, when you put them to bed at night, just get a blanket or a sheet, cover their cage up at night. Probably a blanket in winter. Just being in that kind of dark space makes them feel secure and they'll go to sleep. And that's really it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next video.